Hey, so getting a late start today after a trip to Home Depot, a trip to Lowe's, and another trip to Home Depot. We have this, which you can't see. Hang on. We have this. It's a trailer full of stuff. It's a trailer full of expensive stuff since we are still in the middle of our supply chain / everything costs more phase. So what we have are 8 sheets of the Advantech plywood, currently going for $50 a sheet at Lowe's in my neighborhood, or at least in this neighborhood. And then we have 16 sheets of the Formula 250, which is the 2-inch thick. Well, actually, it's 250 and it's 2 inches thick. Home Depot would have you think that they're the same thing, but they're not. The 250 is 25 psi compression strength. The 2 inches is the fact that it's 2 inches thick. We are going to put down 2 sheets thick in the bus, the Formula 250, and then we're going to cover it in this. And since we are doing the Chuck Cassidy method, we're just going to glue it all down. I'm not sure how we're going to glue it down. Well, I know how we're going to glue it down. I have the glue. I'm not sure how we're going to hold it down, but we'll solve that in time lapse. Hopefully. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know how well this was going to come out. This is my phone, but while I'm here, I want to show you this. At the back of the bus, and also right in front of me, which I'll show you in a second, I'm putting in a couple of patches. There are some big holes there. I don't want water. I don't want that much water possibly spraying up. I don't know. Probably not that big a deal, but I am patching these holes. I just used some of the leftover steel from the bus and some self-tapping screws. I threw some butyl behind it, because especially in the back, that is where I think the exhaust is actually on the other side of the bus, but the exhaust is definitely back there, and I prefer not to have that seeping into the bus through a big hole. So, you know, I threw some butyl on it. There's still a ton of little holes, but I think those are going to be pretty well sealed by the formula going down on top of it. A giant, 2-inch by 4-inch hole, that's more. So let me flip this thing around. Can I do that while this is live? No, of course not. Let me show you what I did. So this is the patch I threw in there. Again, it's just 4 self-tappers. This is old bus metal. I'm using it because it's already been primed. I don't have to deal with that. It's been primed on this side, it's been painted on the other side. It's gonna get buried under foam, so it'll be fine. And then that, and then like you can see the butyl squeezing out, so I know I got a pretty good seal down there. I'm pretty sure that once the foam goes over it, you'll never know it was there. Just one more secret little thing you take care of in a bus. So this is our fuel fill cover. Goes something like that in the bus, or maybe it's something like that. I don't know which. Figure it out in a second. I think it goes like this. Need to clean it up a little bit so we can reinstall it before we put the insulation in. And I am just trying to take off the old foam and butyl that was there. And then I will try to put on new butyl anyways. I don't know about the foam. I'm not sure why this foam on this. It might need it, it might not. I honestly don't know. I don't know why somebody would do foam and butyl, to tell you the truth. It seems weird. But I need two hands, so you don't get to watch me do this. So after not being able to remember how to remove an adequate amount of butyl, but figuring I'll just put more butyl on there, still butyl, and doing a highly questionable priming job on this, because nobody's ever going to see it really. This is our cover for our gas fill, and that'll get reinstalled once I make a hole for it in the insulation. So on the passenger side, there's a hole where the air conditioning pipes, the coolant lines came up. We are expanding that so that we can run things in the future. There was air conditioning duct going up through that thing. Ended up angle grinding it out. We tried cutting it with the 4-inch hole saw, but it didn't work out. We have I have some 4-inch scrap, or my dad has some 4-inch scrap that we can put a PVC plug in there. And I'm just under the bus marking it because it's easier than doing the measurements to figure out exactly where it belongs. All right, well, we tried recording her into a video, but I had it in time-lapse mode, so not so useful. But we did leave, we came back, and we finished foaming, we're insulating the floor of the bus. That's 2 inches of F250 Formula R, front to back. We left some pretty big cutouts, and I can probably grab a still of those later. I'm gonna go back and fill those in with like great stuff, basically. It's not as good an insulator as the Formula R. It's not as strong as the Formula R. But for the little gaps we'll be leaving, it's fine. They're almost all going to be under something. But that is where we are right now. The next thing we're going to do is stand all of these pieces back up or off to the side, and we are going to start gluing down front to back, and I maybe drop some plywood in on top of them as we go.
Front to back?
Sorry, back to front.
Back to front.
And I may be dropping some plywood down on top of them as we go. We won't be gluing the plywood down yet because we are going to pull it back up, and we're going to put in some hydronic in-floor heating tubes. So that's part of the plan that we will get to in a little bit. For now, I guess let's get back to work. We will stand all this stuff up and continue on our merry way. So, it's been a pretty good day. If I recall correctly, at the start of this video, we had a bus that we had painted with chassis saber. Sue spent a whole bunch of time measuring out and cutting out the insulation boards which we put in. We offset those so that there's no direct paths up through the bottom of the foam, with the exception of the chunks we cut out for wheel wells and access hatches and that sort of thing. After that, we glued down all of the foam boards, which turns out to be actually kind of a lot of work.
Yeah, that took a while. That took almost longer than cutting it all.
Yeah, that was a sweaty job anyways. Half a blister. Ow.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Then, we started cutting out some of the plywood, which I will show you. I don't think any of that made it onto the camera. But we've got the first 5 sheets cut, one of which is complicated. There are 3 more sheets, I think, to cut, 2.5, 3 sheets to cut, all of which have complicated cuts in them, so we decided not to make any mistakes and call it a day. Before I cut the rest of the plywood, I think next week, hopefully we're going to come up and my dad and I are going to route channels in the foam board so that we can bury hydronic heater hoses in there, so that we can eventually get some nice in-floor heating going, which is probably one of the first places where we are departing from the norm as far as Skoolie builds go. Although certainly other people have done hydronic heating in their floor. This is us doing it, and we're going to take a slightly different approach than I think a lot of people do. But we'll get to that. That's down the road.
And the boys and I will not be here for that because we start school in a week.
Yeah.
Yay.
So that'll be their last weekend.
Well, not the last weekend, but ever.
No, last weekend before school starts.
Yes.
So that's the plan. We'll see if I even make it up here next weekend, because I have work one day and stuff. So we'll see. But we have actually made some progress on my little staycation, so I'm happy. You
I'm
good?
happy. We're actually putting stuff back in the bus. Like, now it's onto the build it back part, which is exciting, and gluing down the floor is permanent. So it's like, yes. And I actually got to help, which I haven't been able to do for a while. So.
Yeah, I've been adding stuff to the bus for months, but it's all been welding or sheet metal, so neither of those are Sue's favorite tasks. So, I guess that wraps up this video. I would be remiss if I did not suggest that you like and or subscribe. No or in there. Like, subscribe. There's a bell that needs ringing, apparently. Comments are always good. Compliments to tell me that I married up. Whatever. It's all good. But whatever you do, until next week, have a great week.